so we have a literal ton of hints directly from 10.1, all super related to the Void, and some of them possibly changing quite a bit of the existing lore. Most importantly, this N'Zoth Harbinger fish appears right in the Zerala Caverns, coincidentally in 10.1, that more than likely signals the appearance of N'Zoth himself. There is a possibility that the Echo of Neltharion is actually a faceless one. There are cosmological Void spells that are actually different than the actual Void that we've known. A lot of Shadowflame information, a bunch of Void related stuff in Aberrus. However, most importantly, there is a brand new trinket and information about Anshul, the Cosmic Wanderer that is more than likely tied to Elune and Anshe, and it could be a huge lore reveal in regards to cosmology and the Void and what is really going on behind the scenes. So, what is all this information? Could we see N'Zoth coming in the very near future? And who exactly is Anshul? Before we get into it, I want to show you guys ExpressVPN. This video is sponsored. As you may know, when you use the internet, you always leave a trace, but with a VPN, you're creating a secure tunnel. Plus, it can be incredibly useful. I personally use it when I can't access certain websites due to restrictions. Now, ExpressVPN has the fastest speeds, they have premium servers, and it's super easy to use. It's excellent for security as well as privacy, giving you unrestricted access to the internet. So, to get ExpressVPN, click the link below and use my link, and you will get first 3 months completely free. It's been pretty obvious, pretty much even back when Dragonflight was in the alpha stage, that the Old Gods and the Void are going to be a really big deal in this expansion. We've literally traveled back in time to the Black Empire during the main campaign. We've heard new Old God Whispers, there are Old God Minions, there is the return of Ashara from the Shadow Realm, there are all these documents which I gotta say, Blizzard has given us, but they've kept it super subtle. There's like 1,000,001 hint, but so far they haven't outright just shown us an Old God. And of course, 10.1 is no different as this trend continues and we get a ton of new Void Old God hints. And even more interestingly, not just Old God, but actual like Void source hints. So to start off with the most important and one of the most interesting hints, the most subtle, but possibly the biggest one yet, and that is this random fish that we have discovered in the Zerala Caverns that you might not have even noticed. An Old God looking fish with 3 eyes. Now, if you haven't followed the news in the past and the lore, you might think, I mean, who cares? This is literally just a random fish in a pond in a new zone. However, this Deep Drifter Megrim is almost certainly the actual embodiment of N'Zoth himself, and we have seen this on multiple occasions. First off, we saw this fish in the Ashara cinematic, the Warbringers, when the Sundering happened 10,000 years ago and the Highborn fell into the sea. This super style fish just came to Ashara, offered her the bargain to accept the Old God pact. Now, I do love how this is like the Old God way, just a random messenger. It's not some like 3-headed massive like Old God shark, just a fish you would never think twice about unless you really zoomed in and looked at it really closely. Now, even more interestingly, this almost exact same fish appeared in 8.2 Rise of Ashara just outside the Eternal Palace, which was around the time when we had literally seen N'Zoth firsthand. So, the fact that, once again, this sinister messenger is swimming around the Zerala Caverns, I really don't think this is a coincidence, especially since we have a million other Void-related hints right now in 10.1 in the Zerala Caverns, and let's dig a little bit deeper. So, as you may know, Aberrus is the place where Deathwing really became Deathwing, where he experimented with the Shadowflame, did all sorts of terrible Void experiments, and where he really turned evil in the full sense of the word. So, naturally, as you would expect, there are some really juicy Void hints. First of all, we have datamined 10.1 Void-themed icons that are named Cosmic Void, which I really don't think needs any further explanation. I mean, it's just a straight-out Void hint. However, what is really interesting is that some of these spells seem a bit different than actual Void spells, not the same shade of purple, and it seems to be named Cosmic Void, which might be more like pure Void, not like Old God Infested Void, which could be something completely new. Then, Scale Commander Sarkaret has Void abilities, and as you may know, he's the final boss of the Aberrus raid. Now, this in itself is of course nothing surprising. I mean, you can check out a video I did a few days back on Shadowflame, but I think this is going to be a really focal point of the new expansion and even after Dragonflight. First off, Shadowflame has existed in WoW for a while, and now we are getting to the actual source of it. We're learning that it is essentially Void magic combined with powerful natural elemental magic. As we can discover in Aberrus, Neltharion had literally sacrificed elementals to create it, and almost no dragons survived being infused by it because it is so volatile and so just like super powerful. Now, it is said that Neltharion had originated Shadow Flame, but I really don't think this is the case. I mean, the more likely scenario, since we have seen other beings across the universe wielding this magic, he probably learned about it through these documents, which is why he was so keen on learning the secrets of the old gods, and then through his resources, his massive libraries and the laboratories, he managed to recreate this ancient powerful magic in his own laboratory, essentially originating it full scale on Azeroth. As we discovered, not only does it have a super powerful void and elemental fire spells, but it also has necromantic properties, meaning that it might be related to Decay and Galakrond. If we combine this with the Azerite, we found this source of magic could even be Azeroth herself, although that really is a topic for another video. In 10.1, we are told that not even Neltharion could master this magic and that he sort of fell to it, which means that this might be one of the most powerful things in the Warcraft universe, like an even stronger version of Hell. However, we have some other really juicy hints, which could be a coincidence, but it could also be a huge story point. So, as for data mining Aberos in 10.1, as you may know, the 8th boss of the raid is going to be Neltharion himself. Well, his Echo, his avatar, the Echo of Neltharion. We still don't know what it is. It could be literally him, it could just be a bad message, it could be the last remnant of his sanity. However, new info reveals an even crazier and more interesting possibility. So apparently, the placeholder files this boss fight is also called Faceless Ones. So something along the lines of Echo of Neltharion, Faceless Ones. As you guys are almost certainly aware, Faceless Ones are old god minions, one of the most iconic ones that we have seen even back in Warcraft 3. Now this could be multiple things. It might mean that he might transform into a Faceless One to fully signal the ultimate corruption, or this could be like a Dreadlord type thing. You know how Dreadlords just take over certain forms and we fought these enemies only to later learn that they were actually Dreadlords this entire time. Well, there is a possibility that this could be a N'Zoth probe or something along the lines that wants to fight us to learn something, or just a minion that N'Zoth had planted that is not actual Eltharion. Of course, it is still too early to speculate what this could be. However, we have possibly the most interesting and the craziest bit of information out of all of these, and that is in regards to a new trinket, and there are just some insanely big cosmological implications here. So, the final boss, Sarkret, drops a trinket by the name of Beacon to the Beyond, and this is what the description says. Briefly open a pair of gates to the void to redirect the orbit of Anshul, the Cosmic Wanderer, through your target, dealing cosmic damage split between all nearby enemies. So first off, we have something that a lot of people actually missed when they read this hint. The Beyond is very often what the void is called. However, Anshul is super closely related to Anshe, the son of Azeroth, and that is also super closely related to Elune and the entire cosmology of the planet and the universe. Now, what is even more interesting is that Shul is not something Blizzard just made up. We have seen old gods using this word constantly, and this word means death. On multiple occasions, the old gods refer to Deathwing as Shul Va. Of course, right now we can only speculate what this is, but this could totally be corrupted Anshe, or like a twin version of the sun that is somehow related to death. In the recent Blizzard book, it was said that Anshe was wounded by the old gods, the Void, and that it had to be constantly healed by Elune. Maybe it felt turned into the Void, which is literally what the beings of light do. I mean, we have seen this on multiple occasions. The Naru, just pure light, they just turn into really dark beings, so the Void just like a 180-degree turn. Furthermore, this could be some type of a counterpart. For example, we know that Elune is related to the moon, and her death counterpart is the Winter Queen. Well, what if the sun has also this death counterpart, and that is Anshul? The counter of life is death, the counter of the light is the void. So this could definitely be Anshul. This super slight hint with this new trinket from 10.1 could be a really big gateway into some universe reshaping lore. Why is Anshul the so-called Cosmic Wanderer? Is it tied to the son of Azeroth, or has it already been corrupted? Could this sun be used as a gateway to summon the Void Lords? Seeing how ridiculous many hints we already have for the old gods and the Void, I really think the next expansion is going to somehow be Void related or just old god related. Of course, right now we can only speculate, connect the dots, but we are definitely getting closer and closer, and I think it is only a matter of time before the big reveal. When we learn what Deathwing really knew, possibly seen as N'Zoth, or even a potential Void invasion, things are really going to change. Thank you for watching. Check out could the next expansion be a Pirate 1 with naval combat by clicking on the screen, and check out Doran's Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.